right. Welcome everyone to Design, Print, and Restore, a practical guide to restorative 3D printing with Dr. J. Siddiqui. My name is Julia Barlev. I'm going to be your host today, and I'll be guiding us through this. But yeah, before we get started, quick outline on what we're going to be doing today. We'll have a quick introduction to the Rapid Shape 1, what's new from Rapid Shape right now, and then I'll be introducing you to Dr. Siddiqui, and he will be taking us through the practical guide. Thank you so much, Dr. Siddiqui, for being here today, for taking the time. Very
Yeah,
much
thank you for
appreciated.
having me.
Yes, it's going to be fun. If you don't know this, Dr. Siddiqui, he is really the Mr. Digital Dentist, one of Washington's top dentists, and cosmetic dentist, as well as general dentist, and really has been all over the digital workflow, founded his own digital study club together with other dentists in the region, and is hosting frequent events in that regard. And I think that's really what brought me to bringing you in on this as well, because I think it's fascinating that you share your cases a lot over social media. And I think you really can show people that it's possible for anyone to really bring into this digital workflow, even though I would say you're quite advanced in a lot of them. But I think, yeah, what's nice is that you're able to kind of portray the wealth of any
Hmm.
application that's possible. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm very excited to share my knowledge and what you can do with the 3D printing in this case.
Yeah. All right. So let me go through our one 3D printing solution before we get started with your workflow. I know this is what people really are here for. So I'll make this quick. So the Rapid Shape 1, and I hope everyone can see my screen. Hope everything is good with the presentation. The one solution is really something we built for the future of dental offices, designed to bring in easy, validated workflows to any dental office and to making applications and turnaround times quick and fast. So what we really wanted to enable is same day treatment, same appointment treatment actually. And this is why we have, as you can see at the bottom there, the little rapid print kit to make restoration printing very quick and easy. You can do crowns in less than 10 minutes, around 100 micron. Most of the time it's recommended to do 50 micron. And Dr. Siddiqui, I think you're sharing a really cool case where you did 11 pieces on the rapid print kit in 11 minutes
Yes.
or something like that.
Yes, that's correct.
So it is real life proof, and it's better than me telling you this as a rapid shape rep. Of course, also with the newer generations of printers, I think what's quite nice is how precise those printers are while maintaining incredible speed. So the one is really a printer that can deliver high speed printing, but we have a really nice surface level finish on each of those prints. And I think that's really the perfect spot that you want to hit when you bring in a printer into a dental office. So what is also important about Rapid Shape and what I want to share with everyone here is no matter where you are around the world joining us today, I know we always have a strong group from South Africa. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. And anywhere you're coming from, we have guided remote onboarding with our Rapid Shape digital workflow specialists. Those people spend as much time with you as you need in this beginning phase to make sure you're really learning those workflows that you want to implement in your dental office. And yeah, we also want to make sure, of course, that that onboarding process is as smooth as possible for you. So if you're completely new to 3D printing, don't worry. It is completely possible for you to learn those workflows. What is possible with the one? Now, we say 15 plus workflows. Now, those are probably some of the most common applications people start printing with. Of course, crowns, bridges, in-house restorations is where it's really interesting to start printing. Splints, of course, as well. It's quite quick and easy with the one to deliver really nice splints. Up to three fit onto the standard build platform, and one single splint actually fits onto that small rapid print kit build platform. Full arch implants, of course, is also a big topic, which is completely possible at 50 micron layer thickness. So you do have a very nice surface finish and those screw holes fit perfectly. And yeah, of course, any type of model as well. There's of course, a lot more applications you can print. This is just an example here to also give you an idea of printing times. So, what kind of resins are validated? Now, we have a very large selection of different resins actually on these printers. This is just a selection of them, but we are in the US available through with the Argan materials, Bego, Benko, for example, and of course also the new Vita materials are available. I think what we're seeing today is going to be Ars Vivo materials and Pactent. So I think that they have some of the best restorative materials, so that'll be an interesting case to see how they've held up over time. All right. Yeah, and then one more big topic is, of course, how do I do design and are we integrated with different services? And yes, so we are integrated with 3Shape, Allied Star, and Circle One. And for Circle One, I would like to show you real quick, one sec, what this actually looks like because Circle One is one of our latest integrations, and Circle One actually allows you to do restorative design completely through AI. So here's a quick tutorial. And what you were seeing here is that Circle One integrates completely directly into the Rapid Shape Print Studio, which is our slicing software, which you need before you start printing. And we think Circle One is actually an incredible addition to the portfolio to ensure that you can create easy designs for your start into 3D printing. And the topic of design, Dr. Siddiqui, we will talk about it a bit later as well. And I think, you've worked with Circle. Do you have any
Yes.
feedback you'd already want to share where you're saying, yeah,
So I actually got involved with Circle when they were in the beta phase, and it's very intuitive. I like it a lot. It's probably one of the better AI services because you have a lot of control over the final restoration. You can change kind of the morphology if you want to make it flatter or higher cusps. It's very nice in that aspect. So I was very impressed when I was doing some testing with them.
yeah. And I think that's also the feedback we've received from our team internally that is saying in terms of results, it's quite nice and it's very intuitive in terms of usage. So as we're touching on the topic of how to design again later, this will be Circle One is a recommendation we can make, and it's also fully integrated with our software. So that way it's quite easy for you to go from the design to the printer without having to do many extra individual steps of bringing your data from files to files, like from software to software. Yeah. All right. So before I hand over briefly, we are going to talk about today also about not just our services, but also our resin portfolio. The Ars Vivo resin portfolio is now fully FDA cleared, and there are half of the materials already have MDR approval, and the next round is, of course, also coming. But touching briefly on Ars Vivo CMB Ultimate, which is also the resin that Dr. Siddiqui is going to be presenting cases with today, it's a 50% plus ceramic filled material indicated for permanent crowns, TEMS, crown and bridges, and monolithic full or partial dentures and denture teeth, and is available in different shades, of course. I think what is beautiful in terms of an example is from a CDT that we work with, Alexandra Pulczynski, who of course spends a lot of time in making beautiful temporaries. So she did beautiful stained, full arch implants, stained with optic glaze, and she's saying she can work with that material really well. In her case, she uses it a lot for temporaries, and I think one of her biggest complaints is actually that if the temporaries are too pretty, the patients don't necessarily come back to get their finished items. But yeah, this is the curse of doing beautiful temporaries, I guess. Don't know if you have the same problem, Dr. Siddiqui, but
Yeah, I definitely have seen
yeah.
that, and so a lot of times my my temporaries, like for the all and X in particular, I'll leave them kind of as like as bare bones as possible, so they come back for the finals.
That's yeah. Okay. What you gonna do?
But no,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful restoration.
Yeah. I mean, she prides herself. I mean, she's an artist in the background, so that's kind of what she does. Yeah. Yeah, so now we're ready to start. I think comes the interesting part. So design, print, and restore practical guide to 3D printing workflows and restorative dentistry. Again, brief introduction to Dr. Siddiqui. You're based out of Chevy Chase in Maryland, correct?
Yep.
And
Exactly.
yes, I called him the digital dentist and founded his own digital dentistry study club in that region, which I think is really cool because I know you invite dentists from the area
Mhm.
into your own office to show them all the different toys you have,
Yes.
um, and to kind of help them get started. So guys, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A tab. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end, and so feel free to ask any questions you have. And yeah, then Dr. Siddiqui, I will let you take it away.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen and do the presentation. S- Uh, continue to share.
Yes.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, perfect. Looks good.
Perfect. So like she introduced me, I'm Jay Siddiqui. I'm a dentist that's been practicing since 2019, so I guess it's been 7 years now. And so I'm going to go over the restorative workflows with the Rep Shape 1 printer. And let me tell you a little bit about my journey into digital dentistry. And so I actually graduated from dental school back in 2019, and I went on to do a residency program at VCU, the AGD residency. At the time, there was no PROS program there. It actually switched the AGD over to a PROS program at VCU. And so I got a lot of hands-on with a lot of complex cases that were sent to us from the undergrad department. And so this is my family on the right here, my wife with our two kids, which have grown up a little since then. She was 1 and 3, and my son was 3 in this picture. Now they're 3 and 5. And then on the left is a picture of me. This is when I actually first bought my practice in Chevy Chase in 2020. And the practice that I bought, it was completely paper charts, old film development. So I spent the past, it's been since 2020, so the past 6 years, upgrading it, bringing it to digital dentistry standards. I bought the intraoral sensors, intraoral scanners, CBCT printers, mill, and my most recent purchase was XNav for dynamic guided implants. And so I've invested a lot into digital dentistry because I can see the benefits of it, and it really not only benefits for me but also for my patients. So these pictures were back when I actually started 3D printing, and it was back in my residency program, right around when COVID hit, and so everything was shut down. Our residency program was shut down, so I was like, instead of sitting around in my house doing nothing, I'm going to invest into some 3D printers and learn some basic 3D printing. You can see the hobby printers right there. I was able to get some resin and practice printing some temporaries, all in X temps, which I learned through. There was a series at the time that was for free through Blue Sky Bio. They did a series of planning and everything, how to design. So I that's how I learned initially, and then I really delved into it. And now my practice, you can see I have an intraoral scanner. I actually have 5 different intraoral scanners in my practice now. On the right, you can see I have my milling machines. And then on the bottom here, you can see I got the Rapid Shape 1 printer as well as the Pro 20. And on you can see I have the Pro Wash and the Pro Cure as well. And so these have been a really excellent driving force for my practice in terms of same day temps, same day, restorations, and also in terms of bringing my cosmetic cases, really elevating them. And so the question is, why do you want to start done 3D printing, right? For me, the 3D printers have come to a level such that they're so precise and you can allow such customization in terms of what you're doing for these prints, that it can help a lot with certain cases. For example, if you're doing a full mouth rehab, you can have a wax up done beforehand. And I'll show you a couple cases that I've done past this, but you can do a wax up beforehand. You can adapt the preps that you do to that wax up, and you can give the patient temporaries that will be just like what you would want to do for the final. And you can test those out. The patient can test their function, their occlusion, the aesthetics, and make sure they like it before you get them fabricated in the finals, whether or not you want to do it in house or if you want to have a lab do it. It helps the lab as well to make sure that they're able to give you a product that will the patient will be happy with. The other thing is it also reduces the turnaround times significantly compared to traditional outsourcing. So you don't have to send out to the lab. That you can print it in-house. You don't have to wait for anything. A lot of my practice is I'm able to do same day dentistry, and that's why I invested all into all this technology too. Is I can do same day crowns with my milling, same day partial coverage with my printing. I can do same day implants with my dynamic navigated implant system with the XNav. So that's it allows you to really bring things same day, enhances the patient experience. Patients love that they're able to get something same day. They get a better fitting appliance majority of the time because of the technology, and overall, you get a very satisfied patient who starts referring patients to you. And so we got to talk about what you need in order to start 3D printing. So first thing you need is a intraoral scanner. There are desktop scanners. If you're a lab, you use a desktop scanner because they send analog impressions to you. But if you're a practice, you want to use an intraoral scanner. Um, it's to the point where intraoral scanning is very precise. And let's compare it to PVS impressions. Um, PVS impressions are great, but you're also, let's say now labs are scanning those impressions, you're introducing a second step that you could potentially get an error in terms of your impressions. So the nice thing about intraoral scanning is you're skipping a step. Um, so after you get the impression, now you got an STL file or CAD, STL or PLY file. You will need some kind of design software, whether it be to a designer or a lab, or if you want to use AI software or exocad. For me, I primarily use exocad and some labs to design my cases. If they're big cases, I'll probably have a lab do it because they're much better in terms of some design than I am. Um, and then Circle One AI, she touched on before, it's a great software for like single crowns. It does a really nice job in terms of that. So you got the intro scanner, you got the acquisition, then you got the design software, then you need to manufacture it, and that's where the 3D printer comes in play with the Rapid Shape 1 printer. That's the printer we're talking about today. The Rapid Shape also has the Pro 20, which is their bigger printer. Different printers offer different benefits. So with the Rapid Shape 1, you have that accuracy and the speed, as well as its open platform to the point where they validate the resins, and then it's very accurate. The trade-off is the build platform in terms of the rapid print kit. It's faster, but then you can't fit as much, but you still have the bigger platform, which is great. Um, and then the last thing you need is you need post-processing equipment, which is the Rabbit Shape cure unit as well as the wash unit. With ceramic restoration, printed restorations, I don't typically wash them, but if you're going to print other things, you do need the wash. And then the curing unit is great because it's validated for all the resins that you can print on it. And I'll talk about this a little bit later. It's also got the vacuum curing, so you don't need nitrogen, and it's very nice. I'll show you the video later too. Um, So talking about the Rapid Shape 1, specifically on the Rapid Shape 1 is the Rapid Shape Rapid Print Kit. And so this is great. It's a smaller build platform, which it can print faster. You use less resin in the tank, and it's really good for great same day dentistry. The trade-off, like I said before, is less space with the restorations. The average speed between it all depends on the height of your restoration. But average speed, I would say, is like 11 minutes. You can get it down if it's a shorter crown, down to like 8 minutes. If it's a little bit taller, like an incisor, you might be at around like 12, 13 minutes. Um, and on that too, you can see this is everything that comes with the Rapid Print Kit is the platform. You got the this is a little nifty thing to take off the build platform so it keeps your hands clean, as well as they give you a couple different tanks. And there's the adapter that the tanks go into, and it's very nice in terms of changing tanks. It's all RFID for so it remembers what's the resin that is in your tank as well. So talking about the design software, it depends on the situation you're in. You could invest into Exocad. It's the most expensive. The minimum entry is 4K, and then you have to pay yearly to either if you do the Flex, you have to pay yearly, but if you want to update it, you have to pay yearly as well if you have the perpetual. Um, so it's expensive, especially if you're starting out. It is the most versatile. You can design right on the spot. It's great for complex cases, but it is expensive. And you have to really get into learning the design as well. It's not for single cases, it's going to work great, pretty straightforward. When you start getting into more complex cases, um, that's where you got to get more practice and start learning. And that's where getting a designer or a lab involved might be more beneficial. They're typically using Exocad or 3Shape. They do very high quality designs, and you don't have that stress in terms of trying to get the design done. In terms of cost, it depends on the lab. I'd say probably averages around $25 to $30 per tooth. There's some labs that are cheaper. There's some labs that are more expensive. You just got to look and see what's out there in terms of design. Cheaper is not necessarily better. There's a lot of stuff in terms of, occlusion and everything that you got to be careful about. And so going with the reputable designer or lab it goes a long way for you. And let's say you want to just focus on single cases like crowns and bridges. Circle One AI design is actually very nifty. So you import the STL or the PLY. It'll help you mark the margins. You can adjust the margins if you need to, and then it'll generate a design for you, which you can afterwards adjust, which is my favorite feature about it. The fact that you can adjust it afterwards is great. If you want to make the cuffs taller or shorter based on the occlusal anatomy of the adjacent teeth, you can do that. You can change the emergence profile. You can adjust the occlusion or context based to what you want it to be. So it's nifty in that sense. You can design within 5 minutes. It's relatively inexpensive compared to hiring a designer or Exocad. And it's great for simple cases, but I wouldn't recommend trying to do it for full mouth cases or all in X cases. So let's go on and talking about nesting in Rapid Print Studio. So after you get the design done, you have to put it into Rapid Print Studio. So what you do is you drag it into the software. The software is very straightforward. All you have to do is you click on the STL you just dragged in. You click the type of print it is, so it'll have restoration, splint, surgical guide, denture. You click restoration, it'll say, oh, is it what type of restoration is it? Veneer, front crown, posterior crown. So you click the type it is, and then you can rotate such that the incisal and occlusal portion is towards the build plate because that's how I print. It's relatively easy to print that way. It's very safe and accurate. And so you can also remove, there's usually a base plate when you print for restorations that helps in terms of printing. You can also remove that base plate if you want to fit more restorations on the Rapid Print Kit. I'll show you a picture right after this of how many you can print on there. And then also you can adjust the supports. It does automatic supports, but you can adjust it if need be. Like for example, anterior teeth, you want to make sure you cover the supports evenly across the incisal edge up to the line angle. So you're looking at about 4 supports for the centrals, 3 for the laterals, and 3 to 4 the canines based on the size. And so here's a picture of in Rapid Print Studio of the of a nesting design. So this is a smile design I did. And so, excuse me. And so you can see I was able to print all 6 of the anterior teeth on here as well as the premolars. Um, and what I did is I removed the base plate to allow for more fit of those prints. So that's a total of 10 teeth on that. And so you can see I printed out here. I printed it in RS Vivo Crown and Bridge Ultimate. And so you can see one thing I should have done differently is right at the central incisors here, is I should have added supports on there to just increase the accuracy of those incisal edges. Um, so and this was a smile design I had done in exocad. I wanted to just give the patient a trial smile to see what it would look like if she were to do some type of veneers in her case. And so going on to let's say you want to fit crown and bridge on there, right? So on the left is the rapid print kit. I was able to get about 9 crowns, and you can see 4 of those crowns weren't able to fit, but that's okay. You can always use the bigger build plate that comes with the printer, and you're going to be able to print all of those. I showed the Pro 20 build plate here, but the regular build plate on the one is the same exact size, so you can fit a lot of restorations on there if you need to. In this case was actually one of the cases I did a full mouth case on. So what I did in this case was I actually talking about the workflow. So I had this patient come in for a consult, and they were concerned about their front teeth. There was a lot of anterior wear due to the collapsed bite they had, as well, and then her grinding. And so her front teeth were restored on the top, but they were grinding down so much. That's why you see that wear at that kind of angle. And so what we did is we took her digital impression. I used a leaf gauge to capture her bite repeatedly at an open bite. And then I captured that bite with the intraoral scanner. And then I had the lab design a WAXA for me. And so at the day of the treatment appointment, what I did is I prepped all the teeth, including the posteriors. This is a full lower rehab. Prepped all the teeth. I took impressions of the digital impression of all of the preps. And then I took the lab design from that they gave me, and I put it into exocad, and I adapted the lab design to my preps. And then I printed it out, and this is in Rapid Ceram in particular. Printed it out, cleaned them up, post-process, inserted the mouth. So same day treatment, they were able to get the temporaries. So now they can test that, make sure the function is okay. If I need to make adjustments, I can. And then the final restorations, what I'll do is if everything's good after a couple weeks, I'll go ahead and I'll scan the temps. I'll rescan the preps just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I'll scan the bite that it's at now. And that's how I can get the final restorations designed and milled in terms of the accuracy for that. And so, yeah, this was printed on the wrap. I did this on the regular build plate in Rapid Ceram by Pacdon. Talking about the material selection, there's a wide range of applications that you can do. So like partial coverage, including inlays and onlays, you can do veneers, temporary crown bridge, all in extemporaries. I don't know if I would necessarily print a full coverage crown yet. I probably would do it as a temporary if you want to do it that way. I would go more for let's say uh partial coverage if you're going to do printing. You definitely can. It just depends on the demographic. It depends on the wear that you're expecting. So let's talk about the 2 different materials in terms of ceramic printing. So we got the Rapid Shape Vivo Crown and Bridge Ultimate, um, which Julia mentioned before, 50% ceramic filler, great for temporary crown and bridge, all in extemporaries. You can do it for partial coverage too. It's the right now it's the fastest one on the Rapid Shape 1 printer. It ranges between 8 to 12 minutes. It's not 9 to 12 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes, depending on the height of the restoration. So if you're doing a partial coverage restoration, you can fit that and print it within 8 minutes. So that's It's a very nice material. I'll talk a little bit more about post-processing in a sec later in the slides. And then the other material that I've been using on it is the Packdent Rodent Sculpture 2.0. And so that's a 60% ceramic filler material that has zirconia particles in it. It's got a little bit better wear resistance, and that's more suitable for permanent partial coverage restorations. Um, However, with the increased ceramic filler and the zirconia content, you increase the time as well to about, its ranges honestly between 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the height. I'd say average is like 20 to 25. Um, but it's got a little bit more strength to it because of the zirconia particles and the 60% ceramic filler. Um, so if I was doing same day temps, I would go with the Wrap Shape Vivo Crown Bridge Ultimate. If I'm looking for something a little more permanent, I'm going with the Sculpture 2.0. There's also Rapid SRAM as well. At the moment, the Vivo Crown Bridge Ultimate is actually faster than the Rapid SRAM on the Rapid Shape 1. And then, so let's say we got the print, you got your print out of the printer, and now what do? It's going to have some excess resin on it. So what you're going to do is you're going to clean it off thoroughly. I tell people limit the exposure to alcohol as much as possible. You want it to be less than 10 seconds contact time, and you really want to dry it off because if the longer it's exposed to alcohol, the integrity of the structure is less is weakened. And so you're going to get a weaker print, you're going to get some chalkiness. And if you're looking to do permanent restorations, you don't want to mess around with that. Um, what I use is like I half the time I won't even touch it with alcohol. I'll clean off with a micro paper towel first. I'll use micro brushes to get the intaglio cleaned, compressed air to blow it off. Um, Really just to make sure I don't run into any problems with alcohol. I recently got a mobile unit where I can load the bottle up with alcohol and I can spray it and dry it with air. Again, you still want to limit the time that it's touching the alcohol. It's, in my opinion, best is if you have ceramic filler, try not to touch it at all with alcohol unless it's a temporary. So then you can remove the supports. On the right here, I have this finish kit. It's by Comet I've been using. In particular, if you want to remove the supports, I credit Wally for this, Wally Renee. Use the one in that on the all the way on the right, that wheel. It really removes the supports very well when you're doing post processing without necessarily removing tooth structure that you would want or anatomy you want to keep. And so you remove those supports, you clean it off again. You can use glaze. There's a rodent glaze that's you can use. It does if since if you're using this printer, you don't have to worry about the vacuum or the nitrogen or anything. You don't have to get the N2 free glaze if you don't want to. Glaze is nice. It gives you a nice finish, so you don't have to necessarily polish it. I don't like to use glaze for permanent restorations. That's just my opinion because, the glaze, even though it might be the same material, similar material, it might not necessarily have that ceramic content. So with wear over time, you might not you might lose that glaze. And in most cases, I usually just polish, honestly. And then you're gonna, after you use your glaze or you finish removing supports and you clean it, you put in the cure for the wrap shape curing unit. And the great thing about it is it's vacuum based. You don't have to have any nitrogen attached to it. And with the vacuum, it removes the oxygen inhibition layer because there's no oxygen in the machine. And so you get an increased strength and decreased toxicity overall. And the other great thing about it is it's 360 light distribution, which is very important, especially in this case, because you don't want to open with the vacuum there. Whereas like other units like the auto flash, you have to flip it because of the direction of the curing as well, which you have to flip halfway. So that's the great thing about this. And then after it comes out of the cure unit, I just usually I'll use the cotton buff and a pink diamond paste. The diamond paste I get off of Amazon. It's this zircon bright pink diamond paste. I found it great for in terms of not only 3D prints, but I use it for Emacs, for zirconia. It really polishes everything. So and then I'll hit it with a cotton buff that's clean afterwards just to remove that pink polish base. And so here's a video of the Cure unit. The great thing about it is it has all of the pre-validated profiles in there, so you don't have to tinker around. It will automatically know this is the intensity I need, this is the length I need in terms of curing. It's very nice in terms of that. It's a great unit overall. Nope. Okay. So going into kind of some applications here. So these are all some pictures of different prints I've done over the years. On the top right, I have a print of an onlay that I printed in rodent sculpture, and that's actually about, I think I printed it at this picture, it's at the 3 year mark. So you get a little bit of wear, but overall the integrity of the tooth is good. And honestly, for 3 years, I think it's holding up well. I hopefully can see it last much longer. And I was able to do that print same day as well. On the upper right is a print that I did some 3D printed veneers in this case. And so I did some staining on that. This was more of a temporary to test how I would want it to be for the finals. At finals, I was doing an Emacs, but I wanted to play around with some stains and stuff, see what I could get in terms of 3D printed veneers for the patient. And this is again rodent sculpture on that one. And then on the bottom left here is a temporary, this is kind of more applications of what you can use for it. So I was able to print a same day temporary bridge for this patient who had just came in, lost a bunch of her previous bridge. I made that so that way we could, she could leave there with teeth and we could fabricate the finals. And then in the center here, this patient came in as an emergency. She had broken her one of her front teeth and then broken part of another bridge. And so we had to do an extraction. I was able to print a temporary bridge in the meantime that would help shape the tissue there. And she was able to leave and smile with that one. And then on the bottom right here is one actually I did recently, number 13, that one right in tooth right in the middle. This patient came in for an emergency. She was she had fractured off the buccal cusp of number 13 because of a large amalgam that was causing some stress there. And so the buccal cusp was completely gone. And so all that remained was the amalgam in the middle and then the lingual cusp. And so what I did is I did it as a partial coverage onlay to preserve the lingual cusp. And so I printed this out on the rapid shape print kit in Sculpture 2.0 and cemented it same day so patient could leave there with the restoration. So let's talk about, I'll talk about more about this workflow here. So on the bottom right, what I did is I prepped the tooth, took the digital impression, scanned the prep, scanned the bottom, scanned the bite. This one you could put into, like, for example, Circle AI or Circle One AI. It'll design the onlay for you. You can adjust it how you want and then send it to the printer. I primarily use exocad because I have it. So I designed that one myself, and then I sent it in I nested it in Rapid Print Studio, sent it to the one, printed it out, and then cleaned it off, make sure I'm not touching any alcohol. I just used paper towel and microbrush, put it into the curing unit. Then afterwards, I just polished it and then I put it in the mouth, cemented it. In this particular case, with partial coverage, you want to make sure I do a selective etch, I do MDP primer on the print, you do a sandblasting, then MDP primer, then I do bond on the tooths after selective etch, and then I use a resin cement to cement it in. Clean the excess off, and then you got your final restoration in the mouth, and patient's happy same day they can leave. You can be happy because you were able to help the patient out, and also not have to bring them back for a second appointment. So this is a case that I had where the patient came in, they were like, okay, I want to get my front teeth fixed. And they were like, can you just do a bridge across the front teeth and in that area? So this is actually at their open bite a little bit here. And I scanned at an open bite as with a leaf gauge, because in her normal bite, her normal occlusion, it would have not been enough restorative space that I would have been comfortable doing anything there. I felt like it would break off, and then also you can see the wear on the other incisor there. And so I proposed to her, why don't we do a wax up and open your bite a little bit, see what we can do. So that's the result of the wax up that I had done by the lab. And so what I did at the day of preps, I prepped the teeth. I took a scan of the intro of the preps. Usually when I scan day of preps, I already have in exocad, I have the wax up, and I have the pre-ops in exocad already, so I don't have to do much in terms of setup. And so the other thing is, let's say you don't want to do exocad, you don't want to get into designing this. You can always get the wax up done by the lab. Tell the lab, hey, this is the day I want to, do the preps. Can you design me a same day prep? And the majority of designers are going to accept that, you just schedule it beforehand, excuse me. And then day of surge or day of preps, you go ahead and prep and you send it to the designer and they'll design it for you. And then they'll send you back an STL file that you can just print out. So that's a great workflow if you don't want to get into design, but you still want to do this workflow. And so this was the day of the temps. So you can see on the left side here is the pre-op of the smile. And then the right side is the temps cemented in. I use a temporary cement resin. It's an implant temp cement resin dual cure. It works great. It's great in terms of cleanup, but also doesn't keep the teeth on to the point where I can't get them off. And so this is also great in terms of testing the smile, the aesthetics. A lot of patients are like, "Yeah, I love the color of these teeth. Let me let me do something where I can whiten the bottom, or I want to do more." Um, and so she tested out those temporaries, and we milled them into the finals. In this case, I used rapid ceram for this case. And then this is another case here. Similar situation. You can see that his bite is very collapsed in the front. Um, he lost number 7, number 10 Maryland Bridge style on the back of number 8 or number 9, and then you see the prep on number 11. So that was failing. The crown on number 8 came off because of the bite, how collapsed it was. Excuse me. And so in this case, a similar situation, what I did is I opened up the bite with the leaf gauge, repeatable position. I scanned the upper teeth, I scanned the lower, I scanned at that open bite. I had the lab design the wax up because I'm not, I'm okay in terms of design, but a lot of times I'll send it to the lab because I think they can make sure that the design is perfect. They can do a better job than I can. Get the design back. In this case, I did the same thing, prep the teeth. I export it into exocad, the digital impression. I align it with the wax up, and then I and then I adapted the wax up to the preps, printed it out on the rapid print kit, and then cemented them in. And this is the result you see here on the top compared to the bottom. Um, and so that is another case there. This case here was a patient where they came in, endo had told them number 9 was complete, root resorption to the point that it had to be extracted. So the patient was like, "Hey, you know what? I want to make sure I have a front tooth because I don't want to leave there with a gap," which is completely understandable. So what we did is we extracted the GBR. Once I extracted the tooth, I went ahead and I scanned the mouth. I designed in exocad a Maryland bridge. I did a biocopy of the number 8. And so designed a Maryland bridge that sits on the back of number 8, printed it out while I was finishing up the surgery, and then we cemented that in. I usually will cement this in with a permanent cement because otherwise you're going to get it keep popping off, and you don't want that in terms of healing. So this is really nice because it'll help in terms of shaping the Pontic site and eventually the implant that'll go there for the future restorations that you will do there. And so this one I printed on the rapid print kit. It took about, I think it was about 10 to 11 minutes using the RS Vivo Crown and Bridge Ultimate. And you can see it turned out really nicely in terms of the shade matching. And then this is another case that I did here. So this case was my aunt. We did a mini implant in that this number 25 area. Originally, what happened, she had a tooth there, a huge infection. that I had to extract the tooth and graft it. We let it heal with the Maryland Bridge temp in there. And then we did a mini implant, and then resubmitted the Maryland Bridge. And then when it came time to uncover the implant, I wanted to make sure, hey, she had some kind of tooth there before she leaves. And so what we did is with that mini implant, I numbed her up, I exposed the mini implant, I put a scan abutment in there. And so once I had the scan abutment in there, I took the impression, digital impression of her bottom, the upper, and an exocad, and you can have a designer do this in this case. You can send it to the designer and they'll use an exocad, they'll design an abutment. Or let's say if you don't have a milling machine like I do, you can also do a stock abutment, let's say. So you can tell them this is the stock abutment I'm planning to use. So in exocad, you can design a temporary tooth onto the stock abutment. In this case, I designed a custom abutment and I milled it out. While it was milling out, I printed it out on the rapid print kit. Let's say if you don't want to mill a custom abutment same day, you can still do the stock abutment. So then you print out the temporary tooth on the rapid print kit. In this case, I use RS Vivo Ultimate. And then you clean it up, post cure, process all that, stain glaze, whatever you want to do in terms of like the stain and glaze, post process it, and then you can cement it onto the stock abutment. And you can see here on the X-ray, there's that little bit of cement I cleaned up on the right on the patient's left side of that abutment there. But then she was able to leave there with a temporary tooth while I made the final tooth in zirconia. And so that's those kind of an overview of these cases. I can go into depth if you guys want me to in terms of certain aspects of it. Um, but it's that's I showed this because I wanted to show the capabilities of 3D printing. In this kind of case, you if you didn't have a 3D printer, you would have had to wait for either you can make a temporary tooth that in terms of a pickup or something, but at least this way it gives me a proper emergence profile. Patient can leave same day with it. It's going to get really nice healing of the tissue around it with that exposure. Just make sure you polish it really well at the cervical aspects so that way the tissue doesn't, get inflamed or anything. But in terms of 3D printing, you're able to do same day temps, same day inlays, onlays, partial coverage, uh, temporary crown and bridge, and it's a really great benefit for your patients as well as yourself in terms of you can go as complex as you want to with it, or you can keep it very simple. Let's say you want to keep it simple, then stick to the AI design, have labs design your bigger cases so that way you can focus on the 3D printing aspect of it. And so in terms of starting out, I'd say you have to have an intraoral scanner. You get the printer with the cure and the wash. And in terms of the design, I'd say start with working with a good lab and working, if you want to do simple cases, try out the AI design. Um, and that is my presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui. Fitting into this whole point really nicely is a comment from Elizabeth, who's
Mhm.
saying, so she's a dental assistant, and she found for her it was now difficult to understand how to essentially communicate this type of service also to the patients. So
Right.
I think this is a very legitimate question because
Mhm.
how do you explain to your patients the way you do treatment? And
Mhm.
is it also like a USP for your practice that you're delivering this kind of service?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of patients, that one case came to me because she heard that I'm the guy to go to if you want to have good temporary same day teeth. That's why
amazing.
she came to me. Yeah. And
Okay.
so it's definitely a practice builder. In terms of explaining it to patients, I keep it very simple. I'm like, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to scan your teeth. We're going to get a design done of what I want the teeth to look like. And then the day of prep, when I prep the teeth, day of, I'm going to prep the teeth, gonna get the design adapted to your preps, and we're gonna cement these in as a temporary to test your teeth and make sure we're happy with it before we go to the finals.
Mhm.
And majority of the time when patients hear that, they're very happy because I'm able to, they're happy because they're like, okay, great, I'm gonna get the same day teeth. but they won't be permanent. So I can make adjustments. You know, if I feel like something's off, you can make adjustments and before we do finals.
I think that's really, really valuable, especially in the cosmetic cases and in
Yes.
the larger cases, I think as well.
Yeah.
That's where it's really valuable. Elizabeth, you can put in the chat if you feel like the simplified for all categories. Do you mean all applications, or do you mean in terms of how to explain it to like every member of the team? Because I mean, Dr. Siddiqui, I think in your office, uh, you do most of the design preparations. Do you do most of the
Correct.
printing yourself, or is your team very involved in this whole process?
So my team is learning. My assistant, I wouldn't say she's like super digitally inclined, so a lot of times I'll do it myself. But I think, you know, with the Rapid Print Kit and the Rapid Studio, it's very straightforward in terms of nesting and printing. I think the biggest thing is the post processing, and that's where, you know, you got to kind of get some experience in terms of, okay, I'm not going to get like for ceramic prints, I'm going to just clean it off. I can see that it's dry on the intaglio surface. Okay, let me trim the supports. This is how much I want to trim it off so it doesn't break off. It's getting the hands on with trimming supports and finishing and staining and glazing becomes invaluable in that. And it's just a matter of getting started and doing it essentially.
Yeah, I think dental assistants actually have incredibly important role in this process
Mhm.
because it's obviously a workflow that is a lot of value add there. Yeah, to do
Hmm.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
and you
cool.
know, it's on your
Yeah,
free time you can practice, you know, do practice prints and
yeah,
practice, you know, removing the supports and cleaning up the print and doing staining and glazing if you want to do that. You can get in as
yeah.
involved into it as you want.
I don't know about a dental assistants having a lot of free time, but
Yeah, that's true.
legit, yeah. So guys, if you have questions, put them in the chat now. I think now's a good time. I mean, the chat was already quite active talking about different design options, and you touched upon it now as well. I
Mhm.
think, how did you learn maybe your design process? How did you get into this? Because I know you use Exocad, I know you use
Yes.
work with different labs, but you were a dentist first as well, so you know you're not a
Yes.
dental technician. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, how did you get started with that? Maybe to help people understand what they should do even.
So for me, I started out getting the intraoral scanner, mastering the intraoral scanner. Then I got actually, you know, obviously not everybody's going to get a mill, but the next thing I got after the intro scan, actually the first thing I got was a printer. So after the intro scanner, so I got the intro scanner, then I got the printer. I became very efficient at intro scanning. Once I got the printer, you know, that's where it's kind of like taking step by step. You can definitely, if you want to just dive into it, get the intraoral scanner and the printer. You can learn both at the same time and kind of get into it. And so I usually tell not patients, people, um, I tell people you want to start off simple first. So if you're going to get into 3D printing ceramic filler prints, start with a single tooth temporary. So that way you get into the workflow, you understand it. And then you can start expanding into bigger workflows like multiple teeth or anteriors, that kind of thing. For me, I actually started designing when I got my mill. And that's when I bought Exocad, and I had a trainer actually come to my office for 2 days. He showed us the simple workflows in terms of crown and bridge. And then in terms of the more complex stuff, it was also I continued training with him virtually. So that's how I got into more designing.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's not a excuse me, it's not a you know, a quick dive. It's not a dive into everything. It's step by step. You know, you want to take it slow and simple at first, and then you want to expand once you get more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Exocad to start out with, you know, this is for not for the weak of heart. I think there are a lot of easier options to go into, and I think actually this can be a very lab-driven workflow
Hmm.
to learn.
Yes.
I think there is a
Yeah.
benefit to collaborating very closely with a experienced good lab. I think you are really further ahead in this, but I think a lot
Yeah.
of people still work in terms of okay, let's do the temporaries in-house, but actually have the lab provide
Yeah.
the
And
finals.
I completely agree. I think, you
Yeah.
know, That's and the benefit of you doing a temporary is you can scan that temporary after you put it in. You
Hmm.
can scan the bite and the posing and everything, and you can send it to the lab along with your impression. And the lab can see, okay, this is how the temporary worked out. Okay, this is, where adjustments to the bite might have been needed, or okay, maybe we need to design it a different way. I think
Yeah.
that is valuable information for the lab to do finals as well. And I think it definitely starting out, you definitely don't want to just dive into exocad unless you really are dedicated to it. I think using a lab or, like
AI.
again, for simple design like Circle AI could be beneficial.
Of course, yeah. All right. I think one item you touched on it definitely in the presentation, but it is as a rapid shape representative, I have to talk about it a little bit. Is why was the wash not included in this entire process, right? And I think there's
Right.
a very specific reason, Dr. Siddiqui, I'll let you take it, but why are we not talking about the wash as much in when we talk about restoration printing?
Right. And the reason is because of the ceramic content of these resins. You have to be very careful because the alcohol can disrupt the structure and the integrity of the print because of that ceramic content. It messes with it. And so if you expose it to alcohol too long or you expose it to alcohol at all in some cases, like for example, rodent sculptures resins are very sensitive to alcohol. They will chalk up immediately. So you'll get the chalkiness, it'll affect the integrity, and you don't want to necessarily, if you're doing it for more permanent or long-term restorations, you don't want to have any variables that could mess up the print or cause it to break.
Yes, exactly. I think this is a very important point. Obviously, always and follow the instructions for use that you are given with the resin of your choice, right? I think this
Mhm.
is an important point. Some of them still recommend using IPA. If that's the recommendation, go with it. But it is an impact with most of those ceramic filled materials that you will see the chalkiness. And then you would have to go into sandblasting most of the time. So it's just be aware as you're purchasing resin that you have to follow the instructions for use there in this case. So just because it wasn't in the presentation, but is a part of the entire workflow, and if you are
Mhm.
looking to do more than just restorations, for example, I mean, a lot of people start with splints or actually just model printing. It's the wash is here included. The rapid shape wash has two pumps inside, one for a first wash that gets out all the gunk essentially, and then a clean wash, and it also automatically dries your application. So actually, it's a very neat workflow. You don't have to touch any IPA, which I think is incredibly valuable. For
Yes.
anyone who's ever had to work with IPA, it's lovely when you don't have to smell it all the time. So it does also have activated carbon filters inside so that you don't have the smell of the alcohol there. Yeah, Vasiliki is also just saying the centrifugation is also great instead of APA.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So there's some centrifuges you can use. Also, there's currently a lot of development of cleaning solutions that are not alcohol based, which is
Mhm.
also fantastic and makes a major difference in the ease of this process for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the whole rapid shape solution we have. What I did want to show briefly is what happens if I'm getting a printer? What's my next step? So all our printers are coming with a 1 year Care Plus plan. That means you have expert support along the way. You have a guided remote onboarding with a rapid shape digital workflow specialist. Those are people that have been in dental for many, many years, dental technicians, dental assistants in the background who will help you learn this process, and they will actually also teach you different workflows that you want to learn. They are going to be able to give you recommendations for resins. They're going to be able to give you recommendations for design steps as well. So this is quite valuable. And of course, you have continued support and you have full repair coverage if there is anything that will happen with your printer in this time. This is applicable to across the world, so I think this is quite nice. No matter where you're from, you're going to get the same service. Yeah, and we have a great support team here in Germany that is also quite responsive. Yeah, finally, this is our US bundle offer going on right now, just finishing up Q1 in a month, roughly. This is the Rapid Print Kit together with the entire one solution. This is what you're going to get as a value added bundle. Currently, this offer at this price is specific to the United States, so I do want to add that. But we have similar offers across the world right now. So please reach out to RapidShape or reach out to your distributor of choice locally to get more information about what your current bundle offer for the one is. Yeah, looks like we don't have any more questions, but it looks like, yeah, we had a lot of conversation here in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Vasily, for your comments. Peter said that it was a lot of Greek to him. We were trying to not, uh, I hope we
I
were
tend to
quite,
I tend to go a little bit over sometimes. So if you have any questions, you could feel free to email. My email is I'll type it in the chat
yeah,
actually.
go
But
ahead. And
if
if
you
you
got any
want
questions, you can email me.
And if you want to reach out to Rapid Shape, feel free to reach out to marketing at Rapid Shape and you will get a response from us. And there's also, of course, always the option to book a demo with our team. These demos are also led by our team of digital workflow specialists, and they will be able to really answer any open questions you have. If you didn't ask them now, they'll be able to tell you how it would fit into your workflow and which printer is actually the right one for you, right? RapidShape does have a larger portfolio, so if you happen to look for a bigger printer, we have that option for sure. Yeah, and then Rakesh, you're asking, is RapidShape available in South Africa? Yes, it is. I believe our friends from MedBay are even online right now. Michael Burke, I think I saw you, is here. So definitely, Rakesh, if you want to get more information about South Africa, please send a message to marketing@rapidshape.de, and then we can pass you along to our friends at MedBay in South Africa. Fantastic. Hannah is saying she missed almost the whole webinar. Yes, we are recording this, so we are going to be putting this online, and we're also sending out an email where you can then watch the link afterwards. Thank you all and everyone for coming, for joining us. And yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Siddiqui. I think it's
Of
always
course.
valuable. When's your next course? Do you know? When are you hosting your next digital study club?
I don't know if I don't know if I've set it up yet.
You
I'll
don't know
have
if
to
you
look.
set it up yet.
Yeah, I don't think we've set it up yet.
Okay, well, yeah, next time there is a course, it's regional. So guys, I don't know where you're from, but it's definitely worth flying across a pond to go hang out with Dr. Siddiqui and his team. He has a lot of cool toys to show everyone. I think you're better set up than a lot of
Yeah,
distributors I've seen.
I tend to go overboard sometimes with, the tech.
Yeah, but this is why your feedback is so valuable, I think,
Yeah.
in terms of learning. So thank you so much for your presentation. Thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, see you all soon for our next event. Have a good day, good evening. Bye.
You too.